Broadband expansion across the U.S. has been a focal point for both federal and local officials. Just earlier this year, President Biden announced over $42 billion in aid to be spread across the country to ensure Americans all over will have access to high-speed internet. Sierra Whaley got a closer look at how that's coming into play here in Maine.
As we look at addressing the problem of folks who do not have an internet connection in Maine, we realize that all solutions need to be on the table.
Whether you live in a city or rural area of Maine, connectivity is important.
The projects through the Jumpstart Connectivity Initiative, I think, will connect potentially thousands of customers.
Brian Allenby works for Maine Connectivity Authority. After the finalization of 3 grants, the Maine Jobs and Recovery Program funded their Jumpstart initiative to analyze alternative technologies to expand broadband across the state, like fixed wireless access.
Understanding that alternative technologies like fixed wireless or like low Earth orbit, LEO satellite, do have a complementary role to play. As we look at deploying technology that will reach everybody.
Cleo Truman is an access operations engineer for U.S. Cellular, and she took part in putting fixed wireless access to the test at this tower in Bingham. So what is fixed wireless access, and how does it work?
We have fiber optics running into our shelter there, and it goes through the equipment and up the tower. It covers a fair footprint, and so it minimizes the amount of actual digging that needs to be done and running lines and everything by just using our wireless signal. And
so since that pre-existing structure is already in place, they'll simply add equipment to expand connectivity in rural areas. And this is just part of a short-term solution.
As we look at it, it's part of a phased approach, understanding that there are folks out there who have no connection, and this is a short or medium-term solution that can help them get online.
Regardless of whether you live in a town or city or on a farm or in the woods, you should be able to connect if you want.
Sierra Whaley, WABI TV 5 News, Bingham.
Maine Connectivity Authority is also opening their Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD program, initial proposal for public comment. This is where Mainers can ask questions about how the grant money will be used to expand connectivity across the state. That forum will run through the month of November, and you can find a link to more information on our website.